Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Share Your Grin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a series where I talk your ear off about things that I really enjoy in media, i.e. TV shows, mostly anime, movies, or maybe books that I've read, something like that. But today we're going to be talking about not an anime TV show, but an actual TV show. And it is so fantastic, and I would highly suggest it because I feel like it's such a show that would go underlooked, but it is probably one of the best written. It is so clever and fun and interesting, and their ideas and like the way it's paced is also brilliant. I would highly advise you guys check the show out because it is so fun. I like it a lot, as you may be able to tell. It's just really good to me. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show, not the movie. And that to me is exactly why I wanted to make this video, is because What We Do in the Shadows was a fantastic film. It was a mockumentary about vampires, and it was really critically acclaimed. A lot of people really enjoyed it. They thought it was goofy, fun, and it was just hit all the right points. It was really unique. I think it was the thing that people took away from it. It was something that like we couldn't wait to see. I think Taika Waititi was in it. I think he made and directed it as well, and people loved his movies after he made that. So it kind of put him on the map. Probably not true. Probably made something else that I just don't know about. Anyways, regardless, a lot of people love the movie. And I was one of those people that loved the hell out of the movie. But when the TV show came out and I seen that none of the original cast was going to be in this TV show, I was like, oh man, if only we got if only they greenlit What We Do in the Shadows TV show at the beginning, we probably would have got all those characters back and doing stuff, and it would have been awesome and fun. And I was like, we missed that opportunity. And then a couple weeks ago, I was watching a podcast where the people on it suggested a TV show, and they kind of described, to some extent, What We Do in the Shadows TV show being incredibly charming. And I was kind of in a moment where I was like, I kind of just want to find something to watch. I don't really want to watch something that I want to watch, if that makes any sense. I just kind of want to watch something to just take my brain away. I don't have to pay attention. And I started watching this, and in the first episode, man, the first 10 minutes, I feel like you probably know if you're into this, and I feel like it's pretty hard not to be, because a lot of the characters, I want to say this first and foremost, that is where I was. I was one of the people that thought, I don't really want to watch the TV show because it doesn't have any of the original cast that I fell in love with, and no thank you. But having watched the TV show, I binged through like 2 seasons in like 3 days, which has been a while since I've done that because it is so good. I cannot suggest this show enough to people who are like, I'm not sure about it. It is so good. And this is the thing, and people may disagree with me on this. I think it is so much better than the original, than the movie. The TV show to me blows the movie out of the water. Not only because it has modern jokes, but it finds like the movie kind of felt like it was offset a little bit. Like it was funny, it was good, it knew what it was, but then it was offset a tiny bit to where it didn't. It kind of had a weird pace in some instances, and it kind of felt like it was trying to figure itself out, and then eventually it did towards like the midway point. And that was that. The TV show finds its way in the beginning. Like it takes all the ground that was made from the premise of the movie and then just hits the ground running in such a perfect way. And I would highly advise it. So that's the biggest sell that I can give it. The other thing that I could tell you guys, if you're debating on like, is this kind of a show for me? Some of you guys might not even know what the show is about, which I probably should lead with. Essentially, What We Do in the Shadows is like a mockumentary / if you've ever seen something like The Office, where you have your general plot going through the film or the TV show, and then there's these moments where they kind of like take a break and they're being interviewed by the documentary person, and they're like, hey, what is this? And then unlike in movies like The Office, or TV shows like The Office, where they kind of break off and they're like, here's a joke, and it makes it funnier. What We Do in the Shadows does that, but it also builds the world, because the idea of What We Do in the Shadows is the documentary about vampires. So there are these 3 vampires that live in this house. That's the premise of What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows TV show adds a familiar and the documenting crew. So these vampires are going about their daily life while these people are following them around, filming them. And largely they kind of don't like draw too much attention to them until like it matters. Like when they meet a new character, they're like, who are the guys filming? And they're like, they're just our friends, and then they move on. Which a lot of this show does that. The show does like, just let's move on. And I'm thankful for that. I don't need an example for everything. This is a show that's supposed to be funny and enjoyable, not like a mystery, super realistic. We're dealing with vampires, right? So that's the premise of What We Do in the Shadows. A documentary about vampires, except it's a comedy, so the vampires that are vampires in the show are just insane. Now, I don't want to go too much into spoilers, but the main character in What We Do in the Shadows TV show is Guillermo. And Guillermo is the fucking best. I don't want to give too much spoilers, but essentially he is a familiar. And any familiar, the whole hook for them being and working for vampires is that one day I'll make you a vampire. So until then, do my bidding, which is badass. It's not like hypnotism. It's just like, hey, no. You take care of me. You find me people who I can eat. You clean up after me. I'll make you a vampire when you're ready. But quickly throughout the show, you find out that that's not how that works. Like, if I were to make you a familiar, then I would lose my servant. So why would I make you a familiar kind of thing? That's like a universal thing within the vampire community. It's like, no. We're not going to make them vampires. Or if we do, it's going to be when they're, like, old and rotting. Like, when we physically don't want them around anymore, you know? I think that's funny, but Guillermo is also like goes above and beyond. Like he is the best familiar ever, which is awesome because he's just super try hard. He'll make sure everything's in order. He kind of doesn't like having to like kill people, but he kind of is like, well, it's all because I have a dream to become the first Spanish vampire or something. And that's the whole premise. But one final thing that I want to tell you guys about before I just go full on to spoilers. One more thing that I would like to hook you guys on is I think in the middle of season 1, like episode 6. So this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think it's something that will like give you another reason for like, okay, I can get into this. So the whole premise is Guillermo being kind of the lens that you watch the series through, as well as the documentary team, as well as them going on like little adventures, like you meeting this like old ass vampire, them going and getting shit faced on the town, them drinking blood from a drunk guy, and that makes the vampires drunk, and then the other vampires drink the blood of a dude on LSD in like a nightclub, and they're all fucking drugged out of their mind, and that's kind of the antics that they get up to, which is fun. Around the 6 or 7 episode part, they do a kind of you think it's just going to be like a one-off goof kind of test, but Guillermo gets all of the blood work for the vampires done, so that they can see any sort of descendants that they have, and go visit them, go check up on them, give them some sort of reason or purpose to do that week or whatever. And Guillermo gets his test results back as well. And at the end of the episode, you find out that Guillermo is actually like 1% Van Helsing. So this guy who throughout the entire series people have been shitting on because he's a familiar. People are just like, fuck off Guillermo or whatever, and it's just a nightmare for him. He finds out that he's got the Slayer blood in him, and at first you're like, it may just be nothing, but no, they go hard into it to where like Guillermo will like reflex kill a vampire like it's nothing because he's got this 1% Van Helsing blood in him, and he's just a fucking savage. And then season 2 kind of builds on that. But that's the premise. So that's you're watching this dude who's kind of like a guppy, who's like surrounded by wolves, and he's a sheep. And then you find out, no, bitch, he's the wolf, and they're all sheep around him. Anyways, I think it's something fun that you guys should definitely check out because it's just such an interesting, weird thing. I love it. I love that part of it. Anyways, that's all of the selling that I could possibly do on the show. Now let's get into spoilers because I really want to talk your guys' ears off about so many things in the show. First things first, one of the best things in this show is Guillermo and his master's relationship, and it's so weird. Like, this is why I say this is one of the best written shows ever. Like, I think it's just so well made. Is because there's so many things in the show where I'm just like, it should be weird, but you've made it weirdly okay. Like the fact that Guillermo is literally a servant and the master is always like, I'm your master, I'm better than you, you're trash. But then there are these really wholesome moments where Guillermo's master would be like, Guillermo, come here, don't run away, I didn't mean it. It's just so lovable because he's just like a teddy bear, but also his master used to be like a brutal monster killer, like a conqueror. But now in like his old age has become super soft and is like, just like, I don't know how to survive anymore, so I need you in my life kind of vibe. And it's just so charming. Again, I love Guillermo's relationship with his thing, and I really hope, just go full spoilers right now, at the end of season 2, the vampires finally see Guillermo pop off and like just wreck, just like slaughter all of the vampire council, which is so unbelievably sick. By the way, I should have mentioned this before I got too deep into this. What We Do in the Shadows season 3 is greenlit, and people say to expect it 2021. When I looked into it, that's all I could find after I finished a series I really like. I always Google it and look up and read a ton of articles. But because of 2020 weirdness, people say expect it. I think it's August 2021, so it's a bit unfortunate next year, but you know, it's one of those things that's, you know, less good, but it is what it is. The only thing is that the main dude who directed season 2 is no longer directing the season 3, but the people who worked on season 2 are still there, so it should be not too much of a departure from what we enjoyed in season 2, because I feel like season 2 was such a good improvement. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. When Guillermo slaughters the entire vampire council in front of his boss and like his vampire friends, I'm like, because I feel like nobody thinks that Guillermo's master, I can't think of his name, I'm sorry, Guillermo's master is going to kill Guillermo or anything like that. I feel like the only response that would be fitting is Guillermo's master being more annoyed with the fact that Guillermo didn't tell him something as cool as the fact that he is the descendant of Van Helsing and that he didn't trust him. I feel like that's what the angle that they'll go on. If they do some sort of weird thing where Guillermo's master's like, "You're Van Helsing, I'll kill you," it will just be super weird, because the whole vibe that they've been giving is that Guillermo's master is like a teddy bear, like on the inside. Like he's like a ravenous killer, I bet, if you push him the wrong way. But the whole vibe that they've been giving through the whole series is that his master is more or less a pushover. Like the moment that Guillermo finally gets a backbone and says, "That's not fair," actually, his master's like, "Well, okay, sure, you want a day off, I guess, sure," like, you know. But he doesn't even entertain the thought for half a second to kill Guillermo ever throughout the entire show. And if he is, it's like clearly like a way to peacock to other vampires. It's not like him actually even considering it for half a second. It's like, no, I'm just, yeah, sure, whatever, kill him, and etc. Especially considering there was that one moment in season 1 where Guillermo was basically like saying, "Hey, I'll take the fall." And then his master's like, no, like, you're not doing that. Even though everyone else was like, do it. He was like, no. Guillermo is not dying because of us. This is stupid. So to me, again, I really can't wait for season 2, because I feel like, or sorry, season 3, because I guarantee the main dude, his master, is gonna be more upset with the fact that he didn't trust him to tell him that like he's been killing vampires, or that he's a descendant from Van Helsing. He's like, "You didn't trust me." Like I feel like that'll be the angle. But anyways, after he's done killing everyone, weirdly enough, his master also doesn't care. He's like, "I don't really care that you just slaughtered everyone. I'm more annoyed that you left me. Like, you left me and we had to fend for ourselves, and I feel hurt." And I'm just like, I love that that's his master's such a weirdo like that. But their relationship, man, Guillermo's relationship with him are just so fantastic. And then the comedy relief weirdly is this really sexual and really weird couple is also equally fantastic and really weird, but they're more like to me, they seem like the brunt of the comedy in the show, of like them trying to actually go on these antics and do these weird things. But to me, they're cool. But to me, I love Stan, or whatever his name is. They're like just the energy drain vampire. They're so fucking great. He's so awesome. I love him so much, because he's such a he's a parasite, but he's also a good friend in a weird way. But he's also a bad friend, because he constantly leeches off his buddies. He's constantly like, "Hey, you guys suck at singing. Do you want to go host a rock concert?" "Yeah." And then he's sitting in the background like, just feeling like immense pleasure, and like, oh, it's so good. I love the idea of like him being an energy vampire and his whole thing just being boring people, and he'll say some shit that just is completely boring to someone, and then he'll like turn around the camera and his eyes will light up like drained, and it's so good, man. I would highly suggest this show. It's so fun, and that's the thing. I think it's so fun. It's not trying to be like super dramatic. It's just trying to be be like, no, we're having fun, but then here are these like incremental things that actually show the character's growth, which is also important in a show like this where it's just like goofy fun skit, goofy fun skit, goofy fun skit. It can kind of get repetitive and like, okay, I don't even care where these guys go next. But with them, they're like, no, these characters will grow. Like again, Guillermo, when they introduced the fact that he's like a slayer, I can't wait to see that. Again, whenever they choose, if they ever go that route of making Guillermo a vampire, that's a whole arc in itself that they could play with. Like, I love the idea of like the people who write this show have the balls to keep moving the story forward, like creating a story and a through line that moves and shapes these characters in a better and better way, rather than it just being like, hey, here's this week's goofy antics. Which I like those too, but I feel like, again, the way that they've handled it about like actually implementing some sort of story grounding itself in the show is done immense work for my enjoyment of it, at least. You guys have to get back to me on that if you guys feel the same way. But yeah, I can't wait for season 2 or season 3. Jesus Christ, season 3. I feel like I'm gonna kick myself for not remembering one thing that I loved here or there. I love the fact that the one guy loves volleyball also, and I hope they keep bringing that back to where like the main hella bisexual energy vampire who's I don't know his name, but he's like the one that's married to that one lady as well. Him, I really hope they keep the whole thing where they're like, he loves volleyball. He just loves it, and he just will like die for it and helps people out for it. I love that. I also think that's something that they do really well too, is yes, throughout the entire show, you're watching vampires be ruthless vampires to some extent. Like they're like hunting virgins, they're slaughtering people, and you're just kind of like, am I watching the bad guys? And you're like, yeah, you are. But I'm gonna make you fall in love with them, and I'm also gonna show you good parts about them, because no one is evil. No one is just pure evil. People are evil, but then probably have good aspects too, or have things that they care about, which is kind of the thing with Guillermo, where like, yeah, his master is a dickhead sometimes, and yeah, he slaughters people without question. But he has a soft part for Guillermo, and it shows it. You see that, and you're almost like, okay, I kind of like him. I kind of like the guy who's clearly a bit rough, a bit bad. Also, it's a fake world and all that stuff, so it's not like it's actually a thing. But I find that something they do really, really well. Same thing with what's her name, the girl. I'm so bad with names, forgive me. But the main girl, who's like the girl roommate. There's also endearing moments with her where she's trying to like help this girl who's been shit on by her nerd friends all the time. There's also this endearing moment where she seems like she's the kind of like the weird glue that holds these idiots together, as well as Stan, or the like whatever his name is, the energy vampire who's just like a normal human. He also seems like the glue that holds them all together, and they do a really good job about showing like, yeah, these are bloodthirsty vampires, but we're going to make you see the good parts about them too, what they care about. Like, again, we see that one guy loves volleyball. We see that the one guy likes his friend group a lot. We see that that Guillermo loves his master and his like desire and his goals and all that stuff. So you see like these good parts of everybody, and you're kind of rooting for them heavily because of it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I love the show to pieces. I'm sure I could rant and rave about it forever, but I cannot wait till season 2, and I really, really hope that season 3 does not get devoured by what was 2020's COVID nightmare / just existence. Yeah, really hoping that we get a season 3 with relative speed, because I would hate for it to be a 2023, because that's our 2022, because that'd be shit. That'd be really not great. But I would highly advise it. It's so good. Watch it. It's called What We Do in the Shadows. If you guys just made it all the way to the end because you were like, I don't really mind spoilers, then yeah, watch it. It's absolutely fantastic, and I would just highly suggest it. I think, again, especially if you like monster movies, it's such a charming, like, Halloween kind of monster vibe. So good. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Subscribe button over there, as well as 2 videos further that way. If you happen to like me ranting and raving about this stuff, consider subscribing and all that lovely stuff. I got something that just flew in my eye. Less good. Thank you so much for your time, and goodbye.